Hi Zeeblies! Today we're going to have a little bit of a different video. There have been several of y'all who have asked for more details on our fight here back home with the Children's Hospital. So, my name is Kelly, and my husband and I have 3 kids. We have Savannah, who's 13, Cole, who will be 7 next month, and Sydney, who will be 5 in September. Now, both of my girls have Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, and this specific story or talk, I guess you would say, is about Savannah. Savannah's always had GI issues. She's always been severely underweight. We've kind of bounced around, but in about 2-3 years ago, we really started struggling with our children's hospital here. We were very concerned. Savannah was extremely underweight. She was extremely pale. She was very fatigued. I had people at the at therapy who was like, "Hey Kelly, there's some concern about Savannah. She's just not looking well." So throughout the years, we have kind of struggled with figuring out exactly what's going on with Savannah's gut and why she has the issues that she has. And with her GI doctor that was there, I truly believe that her doctor here back home really was doing everything she felt she could, what she knew. And so this is not at all to knock down necessarily her GI doctor through the Children's Hospital here, because I do believe that her doctor here really was giving it her all for Savannah. After we did, she's had 5 colonoscopies with biopsies throughout her life and everything. I started asking about the nutritional side of things because she looked sick. She wasn't eating. When we started calculating her calories, she was only eating 6, maybe 800 calories a day, and it was just getting worse and worse. And so her GI doctor here sent her to another doctor who's supposed to be a chronic doctor. This doctor is for children or people, like children who have chronic conditions. And Savannah does have chronic conditions. And so this doctor was the doctor that was supposed to make the decision on the feeding tube. We were under the understanding that going to see this doctor was the doctor that was going to write the order for the feeding tube. Well, this specific doctor was what I would call a money doctor. I've heard stories about them, but I have never physically dealt with one until this period of time. This doctor made Vanna come in every week to do weight checks, urine checks. He wouldn't do blood. It was just a fight. Every time we went to see him, we left in tears, or we left very upset. And so that doctor refused point blank to help my child. I even begged him. I was like, I just want my child well. She's not well, and that's all I'm asking for. And he would just be like, come back next week. At one point he told me that because I worked in the hospital, that I needed to step away from my mother duties and take on health duties, and pretty much force my child to drink these Pediasures and all the stuff that Savannah can't get down even to this day. And at that point in time, it was so bad that the one time that literally I stood in the kitchen, I fought with her, made her drink only half of it, she threw it all up. She could not get it down. And even after that, he didn't care. At one point he told me that he didn't think there was any reason for me to go to Ohio, that nothing was going to come from it, that we weren't going to get anything out of going to Ohio, which he was not happy about when we came home with the feeding tube, and pretty much in his own way told us, don't come back. He told us, you don't have to come back unless you think of something. I remember at one point she was losing weight. She almost passed out. I emailed him and I told him what was going on, and I didn't hear back from him. And then when I asked him about it, he said that I just needed to contact her pediatrician. Now, her pediatrician's been amazing. He was the one that kind of kept my hope up. He was the one that was like, Kelly, we just have to get her to Ohio. We just have to get her to Ohio. And he was right. That's all we had to do, was to get her to Ohio. And, you know, it's so bad that we have 2 children's hospitals here. We have a main one that everybody is familiar with. And then we have one that is growing. And it's so bad that her pediatrician told us, don't go to Vanderbilt. If something was to ever happen, to take Savannah to Centennial. And that says a lot, because our you know, you should feel comfortable with bringing your kid to the hospital. You know, when she got her feeding tube, or when she got the first NG tube to do a clean out, they put the wrong one in. You know, it's just always been an issue. Always been an issue. The orthopedic there wanted to do surgery on her, and then when we went and got a second opinion, we were told, no, don't do it. You know, it's hard when you have a child who has an invisible illness, because if it's not obvious to them, they just think you're crazy. They think that you are just making this stuff up, that you just are wanting your child to have the attention, or you're wanting to do this. And yes, there are parents out there that do that. I am not that parent whatsoever. And it's probably one of the hardest things when you're fighting with doctors here, because they won't do what your child needs. You know, they gave her the EDS diagnosis and then they tried to take it back. It's just been one fight after another. And I cannot be happier than to have Ohio. When we leave for Ohio and we get ready to go, you know, this 2 weeks up to when we're fixing to head out again, yeah, I'm not happy about it. I don't want to have to leave. I don't want to have to travel. I don't want to have to do that. But every time we get up there and we start to get involved with the doctors and her care, it always reminds me that it's worth it. It's worth to go and drive 5 hours for my daughter's medical care because she can't get what she deserves here. You know, it's just, it literally was one thing after another. And it was one of those things that second genetics doctor who wanted to take her EDS diagnosis away, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have made it to Ohio, because he was the one that told me that EDS doesn't affect the gut. He's wrong. He's completely wrong. But that's okay, because we don't have to deal with them anymore. He was the one that told me to outsource to a different hospital. And that is all her pediatrician needed, was when the specialist here said we can't do anything, her pediatrician was on top of it. Her pediatrician was the one that got Savannah's stuff sent over there, was the one that talked to them to get her in faster and red flag her chart and things like that. You know, it's one of those things that we've had all these struggles with this hospital. But this hospital is what got us the care that Savannah deserves. It was one of the most frustrating, awful 2 years of our lives fighting with them. This last time, we've always fought with them from the time she was little, because nobody knew why she was getting so back up and why she couldn't go to the bathroom. And so it's always been an issue. It's always been a fight. But that last 2 years of dealing with them before making it to Ohio was the worst. You know, it got to the point where Savannah was questioning, like, why did God make me this way? Where she would say things like she hated her body because her body was sick. And she shouldn't feel that way. And no medical professional should make her feel that way. And that's what Vanderbilt did. Now, there are other people I've talked to who have loved Vanderbilt. This was just our experience with them. And so, you know, now for a majority of things we have to go to Ohio for. But we do have Centennial as a backup. So if something was to happen and Savannah passed out or whatever, and she needed to get to a hospital now and couldn't wait the 5 hours, and couldn't wait the 5 hours, then we have that hospital we can take her to and we trust. And her pediatrician has been working on getting her moved over to Centennial for her other doctors. In Ohio, she just has, she has GI, rheumatology, and then I told you in a couple of weeks we're going to see the colorectal team. So those are the specialists there. Here back home, Savannah has an endocrinologist, neuromuscular doctor, obviously her pediatrician, and orthopedic. And so, you know, half of her medical team's there, the other half is here, but we are slowly making a transition into transitioning to Centennial instead of having to deal with the other hospital. If you have any questions, please leave them down below, and I will do my best to answer them. I just know that there was people that were asking kind of the backstory of what we dealt with. And I can later on go into an even more deeper, conversation about this, exactly like all of her procedures she's had, and all of that. But I think I want to wait on that until after we meet with the colorectal team and we have kind of a fresh update on treatment and all of that, because she has gotten the new diagnosis of the redundant colon and maybe getting a cecostomy and things like that. And so once that is done in a couple of weeks, then I'll make up another one. I'll sit down and chit chat with y'all about her update, what the plan is, and more in depth of her medical side of the tests that she's had and all of that. So if you do have any other questions that I didn't touch on, leave them down below in the comments, and when I make that video, I will make sure and answer those. Otherwise, I hope y'all have been having a great day, and enjoy the weekend, and we will see y'all later. Bye, guys.